Hello creators, it's Melissa with Melissa's Creations, and today I have this super fun card for you guys. This was inspired by my Jamberry nail wraps. Of course, these are so adorable with the koi and the blue background. So I wanted to replicate that on a card today. So let's get started. So I have a Whisper white card base, a piece of Pacific Point cardstock. This measures 4 by 5 1/4. I have some gold glimmer paper. Just a scrap is all you need because we're going to be cutting out some pieces from our Thinlits dies. And then I have a scrap of Whisper white, which we are going to cut these adorable little fishies out of. Today we are using 2 different stamp sets. I have my Jar of Love, which is where the fish comes from, and the Thoughtful banners. This is going to have this banner here as well as the thank you sentiment. And for the Thinlits and Framelits, I'm using this piece from the Swirly Scribbles Thinlits, and I'm using the fish from the Everyday Jars Framelits. And I'm going to be using the Duet Banner Punch. All right, so the first thing we want to do is get our card base folded in half. This is just a standard piece of cardstock cut at 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and we are folding it and creasing that at 4 1/4. So we're going to do some stamping and embossing before we cut out our images. So I have my piece of Whisper white scrap here, and I want to grab out my fishy, which is right here. He's hard to find, that little fishy. All right, we're going to grab our Versamark, and I have some gold stamp emboss powder, as well as my embossing buddy, and then something to emboss in. I am using a tray, but you can definitely just use a piece of paper folded in half. So I'm going to do 2 fishies. So 1 with the Versamark and 2 with the Versamark. Put the lid back on there. Grab your piece of paper or your tray and sprinkle some gold embossing powder over those fishies. Beautimous, yes. All right, now I have my heat tool. This is the Stampin' Up! Heat tool, very awesome. It has 2 different settings, a low and a high, and it has a little kickstand so that you can set it down while it's still warm and it won't damage any of your surfaces. We're gonna heat up our fishies. All right, now we want to stamp our banner and our sentiment. So I'm going to grab the detailed banner from the Thoughtful Banners stamp set, and with my Pacific Point, I'm going to stamp that onto my piece of Whisper white cardstock. You want to make sure you leave enough room around it so that you can punch it out. It really doesn't take that much paper at all. Great. Now we're going to stamp the thank you from this set. I'm going to try and give it a little bit of a curve. We're going to do that with Versamark right in the middle there. And then we're going to emboss that with gold embossing powder. So now we're going to take our Duet Banner Punch and punch out that banner. Just like that. Now we're going to cut out some of our pieces with our Big Shot. So I have my gold glimmer paper and the piece from the Swirly Scribbles Thinlits. I'm going to lay that right down on here. And then I'm going to grab my little goldfish and put those guys on. I like to go through twice when I'm doing Thinlits on that glimmer paper just to make sure it cuts really well. And it should just pop right out for you. And then you can just take the little bits out. Like this. And our little fishy just pops right out like this. All right, now we want to cut 4 of these fish out, 2 of them regular and 2 of them backwards. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So I have 1 fish. Now to do it backwards, we're going to flip our glimmer paper over and then cut our fish out like that. Now I have a fish that is swimming in the opposite direction of my other cutouts. And while we still have our big shot out, I'm going to remove the thin die adapter from my new platform. So I just have the Big Shot platform. I'm going to grab my Dynamic Textured Impressions embossing folder. This is in the hexagons. And I'm going to take the blue cardstock, Pacific Point, and I'm going to run that through that folder. All right, now it's time to assemble all of our pieces. So we're going to start with putting our gold glimmer paper onto that Pacific Point background. And to do that, I am going to be using my fine tip glue pen. I find that this works really well to get this stuck down. So I'm just going to run some along all of these little waves. And then you want to weight it with something heavy so that it has some time to sit for a minute. So I'm just going to put that tray right over it to kind of let it hang out and get stuck. I'm going to put my cap back on my fine tip glue pen. You always want to make sure you replace that right when you're done using it. And now while that is kind of hanging out, getting happy, we will get our goldfish together. So I have the 2 fish going this direction. So I want to grab my glimmer paper that matches those directions. See these guys, they're all facing this way. I want to stick these guys together with some glue dots. I'm going to take my fishy and put a little glue dot right up by his fin. And then on this one, I want the shadow underneath him. So I'm going to put him down so the glue dot is under this fin here. Okay, and then we'll take one of them and give it a little bit of a shadow. So all you're doing is gluing it down so that it's about halfway down the gold piece. And the same with the other one, but we're going to do this on the opposite. So on the bottom, we'll put it right here. Doesn't have to be perfect as long as it has that little glimmery shadow. So now we'll grab our piece back out here, and it should be stuck down well enough that you can work with it. We're going to trim off the edges with some scissors. So I have my snips here, and we're just gonna boop, do the same on the other side. All right, so I have my fast fuse, and we are going to use that to adhere this to our card base. Alrighty, and now we're going to grab some dimensionals and put those on the back of our pop-up fish, the ones that have the shadows behind them. So one there and one there. And I want this guy coming up this way. And I want this one going down over here. Now we're going to take some more mini glue dots for the other shadows, going the opposite direction. And we're just gonna stick those guys down. And last but not least, we're going to pop up our sentiment with a dimensional. So turn that guy over, pop one on the back. And we're gonna put that right in the middle. There is our card done, inspired by my Jamberry nail wraps, that cute little koi on that beautiful blue background with the gold. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can be notified of future videos, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this today. If you're interested in getting your hands on some Jamberry nail wraps, I am a consultant. I have all the information down in the description box below. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.